Shri Gurubhyo Namah Hari Om. Om Munitrayam Namaskritya Tadukti Paribhavya Cha Vayyakarana Siddhanta Kaumudiyam Virachyate A I Un Ril Rik E Ong I Ouch Haya Varat Ran Nyamangananam Jhai Ghatha Dash Javagada Kafa Chatatha Chatatau Kapai Shak Sar Hal Vitimaheshwarani Sutrani. So we were seeing here Ril Varnam with a Savarnam Vachyam. That is the Vartika. And what Vartika means, we saw Uktanukta Druktanam Chintanam Vartikam Ityahu. Uktanukta Druktanam Chintamitra Pavrate Tam Vartikam Ahu. That is the shloka. So we also reiterated, stressed the point that this is possible in Sanskrit grammar, but never apply this rule of Vartika in Vedanta. Because in Vedanta, there can be no Durukta with reference to the Bhashya. With reference to the Bhashya, especially. Not in other places. If somebody says, I am writing Vartika on some text, there may be possibility of a error there. But we are not talking about any of those texts. We are talking about the Bhashya. Okay. So there's no possibility of any error there. So, iti akara mula. Akara hakara yoho, ikara shakara yoho, rikara shakara yoho, rikara sakara yoscha mitaha savarni prapte. So, there is a savarna possibility, savarne prapte. There is a homogeneity possible here between akara hakara, between a and ha. And ha, why? Akuha visarjaniyanam kantaha, akuha visarjaniyanam, a and ha. There is a possibility. Why not kavarga, not visarga? We'll see the reason for that, not including the other characters here while discussing this in the Tika. Balamanorma has very beautifully and spoon feeding again, I will tell you. So he is spoon feeding us, repeating the same idea for every other clause. Okay. Now, so a and ha, there is a homogeneity possible. Because they are from Tulya Asyas Prayatna. A Kantha and the Prayatna also is a same. Vivara. Anyway. Then Akuha. Ichu Yashanam. E and Sha. Sha. Okay. Ritu Rashanam. Sha. R. Sha. And Ritu Lasanam. R. La, Rit, Sa, R and Sa. There is a possibility of homogeneous state, Savarna here, iti prapte. Okay? Remember this. You will be seeing iti prapte. This is your prapti. Prapti means this is your prabdhana. You will be, if you want to study Sanskrit grammar, you will be encountering this iti prapte again and again many a time. Why? Because iti prapte is a pointer to the negation. In Sanskrit, there are rules and there are exemptions. So when you say iti prapte, you are going to talk about some exemption. There is exemption always possible. When there is a rule, then there is a definitive exemption. There is always a choice for definitive. When there is no rule at all, then there can be no exemptions. So if there is a rule, there is always an exemption. Rule presupposes an exemption. Okay? Iti prapte. So we have a beautiful logic in. See, this is the beauty. Iti prapte is a very beautiful thing actually. See, we have been told by these English-speaking fellows who ruled us that Sanskrit is a dead language, and we started believing. We are idiots, we'll start believing anyone. And we started believing. A fellow who does not have a language of their own comes and tells us that Sanskrit is a dead language, and we start believing it. And we speak about that in the same language. I'll explain this. Think, Sanskrit has a beautiful structure, not just the syntactical. The whole structure is very beautiful. There is a root word like your Greek or Latin or Italian, probably. So there is a proper structure there. Like that, Sanskrit has a proper structure. Whereas English is structureless. The words are borrowed from different languages. As I was explaining in Tamil, yar is a word in it's a friendly banter used between friends. Yar, what's this? So this yar is not a Hindi word. It is no more just a Hindi word. It is also an English word. Because Oxford Dictionary decided to include that in Hindi. And there is another word, chaddi. Chaddi means underwear, undergarments. So that also is accepted as directly, the briefs are chaddi. Okay. So that is also accepted directly in English. Now you can say, yeah, this chaddi I don't like. That's a proper English language usage. No one can complain. Oh, you are using different languages, mixing up. No, we are using British English. Yeah, this chaddi is not okay. That is a perfect British English. So the problem, that is the problem. But here, see how much logic has gone to give this grammar. When I say world, 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 where did the R go? Oh, that becomes silent if there is a vowel and followed by some consonant, L, etc. World, iron. Instead of iron, they say iron. Why? In some pronunciation, like the American pronunciation, they will be very particular to pronounce each and every word. Lieutenant, but in English they'll say lieutenant colonel, lieutenant, not lieutenant. Skeptical, not. I don't know what. In what way you can say that? I almost forgot the other usage. Anyway, so these are all different troubles. Now here, beautiful way of presenting it. Iti prapte. What is so beautiful in it? I'll say. I'll explain this. There is a rule called prapte sati nishedaha. Prapte sati nishedaha. When you are negating something, when you are giving an exception, then there should be a possibility. Only when there is a possibility, you can give an exemption. Okay, that can be out. There can be exception also for that, so it doesn't really matter. So the rule is only when there is a possibility, you can write an exemption. You can give an exemption, right? So that's a rule. So there should be an exemption for that also. So generally speaking, when there is a rule, then there is an exemption. So only when there is iti prapte, when there is a situation, you can negate it. Without a situation, you cannot negate. You cannot say, don't do that. Even when you speak to your kids or somebody, or your friend, don't do that. You say, when did I say I am going to do it? I am not going to do it. I didn't decide to do it. So you are negating even before preempt attack. There's no point in that. So he'll say, no, I didn't even think about doing that. Like the war now. I didn't even plan to wage a war. Why are you talking about war? And suddenly happens it. That's a different issue. So, prapte sati nisheda. Only when there is a possibility, you can negate. When there is no possibility, you cannot negate. That is the general rule. But there is in Purmimamsa, see, our ancestors were great. They are gods, nothing less than that. See, you say only when there is exemption, you have to negate. That is general idea. But in Purmimamsa, he says when there is no possibility, that also can be negated. Aprapte satyapi nishedha bhavati. Even then there is no possibility, you can have a nishedha. Why? Some idiot may think there's a possibility. It is not negated because this is a logic which idiots give. It should not be done. Where is it said in Shastra? It is not said in Shastra explicitly, but it should not be done. Oh, if it is not negated, then it can be accepted also. These people think they are great, intelligent, logical fellows. And I was explaining, I don't believe in logic. Though I am a good logician, I don't believe in logic. A. B. Even if I present a very beautiful logic, I am not elated because of that beautiful logic. Because I know somewhere or other, somebody or other whom I have not read in this big, beautiful universe, my ancestors would have said that. My ancestors, I am talking about the Shastra. In Shastra, somebody would have said that. I did not even own, oh, that is my logic. There is no possibility. So, such a beautiful way. So, aprapti sati nishedha, how can you negate even before such a possibility? Like it is said in Purmimamsa, Nantrikshe Chetavya, you should not start a fire oblation in the mid-air. Who can do it in mid-air? Who will perform it in the mid-air? There is a possibility. How can somebody do it? How can one make this Agni Kunda, this fire pit, levitate? You will say, no, some Siddha, he will say, okay, let me do it. Show my Siddhi. And then it levitates, and he also levitates, and then does the fire operation. It should not be done. It is negative. So, whether it's possible or impossible, negation is possible, but when it is a possibility, then negation is a definitive. Okay, so he says iti prapte. We'll come to the iti prapte of the sutra later, but here we'll go to the tika. Akara hakara yoho iti. So that is what we have to see. Akara hakara yoho, between akara and hakara. See, there are couple of things. Akara hakara, then with ikara, then with rikara, with lrikara. So we'll see each one of them. He is presenting each one of them as a separate discussion. So is Ubhayoho Kantasthana Vivruta Prayatna Samyat Savarnyam Praptam. Both of them, Akara and Hakara, both Akara and Hakara are from the same place. They are both from Kantha. Akuha Sardanyanam Kantha. Kantha. Not just that, they are both Vivruta. They are both Vivruta. Therefore, Savarnya Prapti. Savarnyam praptam. There is a possibility of homogeneity. So therefore he says, akarasya kavargena tu na savarnya prapti. But what about akuha vasarnya? What about kavarga? There is no savarnya possible. Why? Kantasthana samyapi. Though the kantha, the throat is common. The pronunciation place, the throat is common in both. Still, prapte satyapi vivrta sprishtat prayatna bhedat. This is vivrta and kavarga is sprishta. So there is a bahya prayatna different. So that doesn't happen. Okay. Akuha visarjaniya. Visarga is there. So he says visarjaniya setu akar upari sharshuhu cha, akar upari sharshuhu cha patasya upasankhya tatvena vivrtatve api tena akarasya na savarna sanyah. Visarga is kantasthani and is also vivrta. But still, in the sutra patha, akarasya upari sharshucha, it is a differentiated. Therefore, tena vivrtatve api tena upasankhya then it is counted there. Therefore, akarasya na savarna sanyah. Akara and visarga cannot become homogeneous. Why? Why? Okay, why do you accept something to be homogeneous? Tell me that. Because uh, in sutras it is used like in eco energy. Oh, eco energy, don't worry. Ikastani yen syat. Ivu for that yen yara lava. Okay, I will say yatha sankhya manudesha samanam. Simple. Your problem is solved. Then akasavarne dirgha. Oh, there is an issue. Akasavarne dirgha. Okay, I understand your problem. So, akasavarne dirgha, there I need to understand the savarna. Though equanimity also depends upon the savarna, akasavarne explicitly says, I want to know which is savarna. It begs us. So, we have to understand what is savarna and what is not. Okay. So, therefore, etc., savarna, etc., will be savarna. I have to establish it. Okay. If I establish a and visarga as savarna, okay, they are both from the same place, kantha, and they are both vivruta. Therefore, they are savarna. So what now? Now what means? What is the question? Which is the sutra? Where is the place you are going to apply this homogeneity? Nowhere. Then why do you want to establish that they are savarna? That is why he says, prayojana abhavat. Prayojana abhavat. If there is no use, don't break your head. If there is a utility, you have to break your head to establish something. If there is no utility, why do you want to waste your time? There is a beautiful logic in Sanskrit. It says, prayojanamanudishyanamandophi pravartate. Without any utility, even an idiot, mandaha, even an idiot, dullard, will not put an effort. So it should be useful. There should be some productivity. There should be some usefulness. So he says, since there is no usefulness, there is no necessity for establishing this akara and visarga to be homogeneous. We don't need to enter into it. Okay, fine. I understand. So that is done. Then we negated visarga, we negated kavarga, we negated, that's all. We didn't negate her. So he says, okay, now, tatascha, therefore, akarasya hakarena savarnyam parishishyate iti bhavah. Since a and ha are same from the same place of pronunciation, internal, external, therefore, by negation, you are left over this with this parishesha. Parishesha means through deductive logic. So the final deduction is this. You cannot negate this. So you are left with a and hakara. Parishishyate means leftover. Leftover is done through deductive logic. Okay. So he says this is what is a leftover. So they are savarna. So a and ha are savarna. Homogeneous. Yes. Iti prapte. We have an exemption. So now it is established they are savarna. That is why we need to go to the next sutra. So then, not just akara and hakara. Ikara, shakara, yoho. Ikara and shakara also. Sh, not sha. Okay? Sh. Murdhanya sha, r. Ritu rashanam. This is ichu yashanam from here. Okay? So he says from the inner tongue area, tonsil area. Talu sthana vivrta prayatna samyat ubhayoho savarnyam praptam. Talu sthana vivrta prayatna samyat. Both are from talu and vivrta. Therefore, e and sha is homogeneous, savarna. But what about the other ichu yashana, ichu ya? What about them? Then he says, ikarasya chavargena yakarena cha na savarna prasakti. E cannot be savarna with chavarga and yakara. Why? Because ikarasya vivrutatva chavargasya sprishtatva. Ikara is vivrta and chavarga is prishta and yakara is prishta. Ikara is vivrta. We already established that. Ikara is vivrta. But Chavarga is a sprushta and yakara is sprushta. They are from different bahya prayatna. Tulya asya prayatna doesn't fit there. Asya is there but not prayatna. Bahya prayatna doesn't fit there. So we drop that. अतः इकारस्य शकारेण सावर्ण्यं परिशिष्यते इति वा. Therefore we are left over with this ikara and shakara. There is a sovereignty, there is a savarna, there is a homogeneity possible. Okay. Rikar shakarayoh, that is also possible. How? Murdhanya sthana vivritatva samyad ubayoho savarnya praptam. In all these places, first he said ubayoho. Then he said the place and then in ubayoho praptam. So he's just changing the arrangement of words. That's all. Okay. So murdhanya, ru is murdhanya, and shakara is also from that murdhanya area. So he says because they are from both murdhanya area, there is it is vivara also. There is savarna prapti. There is a possibility of savarna homogeneity. Rikarasya ukarena, rikarasya tavargena, refena cha, ritu rashana. So tavarga and refa also should be there. So with that, na savarna prapti, na savarna pasakti, there is no savarna, there is no homogeneity. Why? Because rikarasya vivrtatvat, rikara is vivrta, we already know. And tavargasya sprishtatvat, refasya is sprishtatvat. Tavarga is sprishta and refa is sprishta, like the earlier place. Okay. अतः ऋकारस्य ऋकार शकारयोः सावर्ण्यं परिशिष्यते इति भावः. Therefore ऋकार and shakara are savarnya. That is what is the leftover. By deduction we understood. Okay. ऋकार sakarayoः इति ऋकार and sakara दन्तस्थान स्थान विवृत प्रयत्न साम्याद उभयोः सावर्ण्यं प्राप्तम्. Danta and vivrta both are common between r and sa. Okay, so there is a savarnya homogeneity. Okay, drikarasya, but ritu lasana, ritu la. So tavarga and la, what happened to them? So he says tavargena lakarena cha na savarnya pasakti. Drikara cannot have savarnya with lakara and tavarga. Why? Rikarasya vivrtatvat. Rikara is from the vivrta. Bahya prayatna is vivrta. Though all of them are dental, but bahya prayatna is vivrta. And tavargasya sprishtatvat, lakarasya is sprishtatvat. Tavarga is a sprishta and lakara is a sprishta. Similarly, like the previous situation. So there is no homogeneity possible. That is why he says ataha rikarasya sakarena savarnyam parishishyate. So rikara and shakara are left over as homogeneous. They are savarna. Okay. Evam prapte pratishedhati. If when this is the situation, we bring the negation. Next sutra. Evam prapte najjhalau. 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 Na ajhalau. Normally that is how we understand. Na ajhalau. The ach and hal. Ajhalau. Okay. Ach and hal. Ajhal. So they are two. Achcha, halcha, ajhala. And because there are two things, we bring in the dual case. Ajhalau. So na ajhalau. Na is a avyaya. Okay. Indeclinable. Ajhalau is a second case. Now, it is not ajhalau. It is a ajhalau. It is a na ajhalau. Na plus ach and na plus ach both will be naj. Like because akasavarna dirgha. This is the issue actually. Like in Vedanta, when there is a word like yatha vidya, the way you interpret that, the way you break that, completely transforms the meaning. Yatha avidya will give a different meaning. Yatha vidya will give a different meaning. You have to be very careful while breaking it. Okay. Now, na ajhalo. Na ajhalo. Why na ajhalo? He says akara sahito ach ach. Akara sahita ach ach. Ach along with the a is a arch. Okay. Sacha halcha. Archa halcha. Iti sacha means archa. Halcha iti ityeto mitah savarnau nastah. In these two, between each other, mitah, between each other, there is no possibility of savarna. Okay? Mitah savarna nastah. There is no possibility of homogeneity in between them. Tena. Because of this, tena means tena karanena. Because of this, or tena pratishedena, because of this negation, what happens? Dadhi ityasya. We have a word dadhi. Okay? Dadhi plus e plus whatever comes. E plus a. Dadhi plus annam. Dadhyannam. Eco energy. Okay? But wait. We are not bringing eco energy. We are bringing eco energy, but we are not bringing it with ach. What does he say? Dadhi plus harati. E plus ha. Okay? Dadhi plus Shitalam. E plus Shakara. Dadhi plus Shashtam. E plus Sha. Dadhi plus Sandram. E plus Sakara. Do you get it? E plus, there is no Ach there. E plus Hakara, Shakara, Shakara and Sakara. Pareshu. When there it follows, as we saw, Yanadikam nasyat. Yanadi does not take place. Yanadi ikonachi. Ik followed by yan. Ik followed by ach. Ik followed by ach. Ach is saptami. Therefore, ik followed by ach. Ik is sashti. Therefore, ikasthane yan syat. Yan is prathama. In the place of ik, yan comes as replacement when followed by ach. Okay. Now, what does ach mean? Ach means whatever is said in the sutra. Ach pratyahara. What did it say? Wait, first let us go one word at a time, one character at a time. What does mean? Means all the savarna of it doesn't mean only all the savarnas of etc. How do you know this? How do you know? Means also and pluta also, and all the sorita etc. intonations is also. How do you know that? Because the sutra says. Which sutra said? Tulyasya prayatnam savarnam said. That when the effort is same, the internal and external efforts are same, then they are homogeneous. Based on that, we declare all the A's to be homogeneous with A. Right? Similarly with others. So Ach means all that which not just A, E, etc. All that which is homogeneous with that also should be accepted. Yes, fine. Now, what is the problem? He says, iti. Because of this, now if this sutra is not negating Ach and Hal are not homogeneous, if they are not negated as homogeneous, then based on this sutra, based on the previous sutra, they gain the homogeneity. Therefore, it becomes savarna. Savarna, stick to savarna. Why do you want to replace it with homogeneity? It becomes savarna. Therefore, E when followed by what? Ach. Ach means any character. Ha also is ach. Why? Because it is not negated yet. Is also from the same place of pronunciation. Kantha and Vivrta. Ha is also Kantha and Vivrta. Do you get it? So that also becomes homogeneous to ach. Therefore, when I say ach, it's not just a vowel. It also brings in the homogeneity with the consonants, like ril, river name, savarnam. You get it? So he says, anyatha, otherwise, dadhi itya, dadhi, dirghadinam iva, like the case of dirgha. When I say it brings in all the homogeneous like that. He says, hakaradinam iti, ha also, grahanaka shastra balat, because of the grahanaka shastra, which makes you compulsorily accept these to be savarna. Tulyasya prayatna Tulyasya prayatnam savarnam, and the next sutra anudit savarnasya cha pratyaya. That's the Grahana Shastra. Syat, it will become savarna. It will become savarna. So to negate that, we say Najjhalau. There is no homogeneity, whatever way possible, between the ach and hal. The ach and hal. Okay, Najjhalau. A sahita ach ach. A plus ach ach. Okay, it is not a plus ach. It is compound word. A sahita ach. But a sahita ach, I don't see a sahita ach. I see only a plus ach, ach. Why? Because he says shakha parthivaditvad sahita shabdasya lopah. This is in the shakha parthiva gana. In shakha parthiva gana, shakha parthiva is a word which follows the madhyama pada lopa samasa rule. Madhyama pada lopa samasa means the between term. There is Purva Pada, there is Uttara Pada, there is in between Pada. The in between Pada will be dropped. Like in Shaka Parthiva. Shaka Parthiva is not the proper. Shaka plus Parthiva. It is not Shaka plus Parthiva. It is a Shaka Sahita Parthiva. Not Shaka Priya Parthiva. Here Sahita. There Priya. Shaka Priya Parthiva. Parthiva is the name of the person. Parthivan has loves Priya. Loves shaka, greens, spinach, like Popeye. So Parthiva loves spinach. So what happens? We spinach loved by Parthiva. Instead of spinach loved by Parthiva, we give a nickname Spinach Parthiva. Where is Spinach Parthiva? We do give nicknames like that. Parthiva loves spinach, therefore Spinach Parthiva. So similarly here, Sahita is dropped. Aj, Sahita ach, the Sahita is dropped, aj it becomes. Okay, now Sacha, Halcha, Ajalo. Aj plus hal. Aj, cha, halcha. Samasa, that too, Dvigya Samasa. Therefore, it becomes a Ajhalau, Dvivachana. Okay. Now, Tulyasya Sutrat Savarnam iti anuvartate. From the Tulya Sutra, you carry forward the word Savarna. So, na Ajhalau Savarnam. Ajhalau na Savarnam. Like that, you complete the word. Now, Ajhalau na Savarnam. Na Ajhalau Savarnam. Wait, there is no syntax in this. What is the problem? Because Ajhalau and Savarnam are adjective and adjectified. Any place where you see an adjective and adjectified in Sanskrit grammar, they should follow rule. The rule is they should be in same case ending. They should have the same case and they should have the same number. If the adjective is ablative, the adjectified also should be ablative. If the adjective is nominative, I don't care, the adjectified also should be nominative. Okay, this is the rule. Not just that. If it is in singular, then the other one should also be singular. If adjective is dual, as here, Najjhalau, then Savarna should also be dual. Not just that, it should also follow the gender. Savarnam is a neuter gender, whereas Najjhalau is a Pullinga. It is a masculine gender. So, instead of changing the Najjhalau into neuter gender, singular, etc., I am converting Savarna to Najjhalau status. So, see this. Tacha Tulyasya Sutrat Savarnam iti anuvartate. Savarnam is carried forward from the Tulyasya Sutra. Okay. Tacha means that Savarnam, that word Savarnam too. What happens to that? Pullinga Divachantataya Viparinamyate. It gets transformed into masculine gender and dvivachana, dual case. Okay, so savarnau, savarnau, na, aj, halau, savarnau. That is why he says savarnau nastah. Okay, so tadaha, that is what is said. Akara sahito ajityadina. No. Okay, that is what is said in the moola. Akara sahita ajityadina. Okay, fine. Now, kimartho ayam pratishedha ityatah. Why are you bringing this assumption? Why is this negation necessary? He says tena ityadina. Tena, that is the reason why it is necessary. Tena ityadina yanadikam na ityantam. Yanadikam na, till that. So tena, beginning with it, yanadi na, yanadikam na, till that, whatever is said is brought in here. Tena. Tena means pratishedhena. Same declination you are changing. Tena, third case, pratishedhena. Pratishedha becomes pratishedhena. Because of that pratishedha, adina. So now yanadikam, yan does not take place. Okay, what does etc means? Etc means savarna dirgha, akas savarna dirgha, that also does not take place. So savarna dirgha etc also should be brought in. Savarna dirgha sangraha. Dadhiti ikarasya hakare shakare sakare japare ikonachiti yanadesha. Dadhi, when e is followed by shakara, shakara, sakara, any shakara or hakara, then echo enachi, when ach follows, echo enachi will take place, because that is savarna with if this sutra is not accepted, then it is savarna with ach. Therefore, when you say ach, it also brings in, when you say vowel, it also brings in the consonants, because it is homogeneous with it, it's savarna with it. Therefore, he says iti shakare cha pare iko nichiti yanadesha. Sheetalam ityatra shakare pare, but wait, in shakara, sheetala, when e is followed by shakara, ichu yashanam tal murd, ichu yashanam talu, e and sha is from talu, so they are in same homogeneous, meaning e followed by e, same status. Therefore, what happens? Akas savarne dirgha, savarne achi pare dirgha. When ak is followed by savarna ach, then it is dirgha. Now we have savarna ach. Therefore, dirgha sutra should take place. Akas savarna dirgha should take place. Now, astu akara hakarayoho, ikara shakarayoho, rukara shakarayoho, rukara lakarayoho, sakarayoho savarnyam. Let it be. Let them be homogeneous. Let there be savarnya between all these. Tathapi, still. Dadhi plus sashtam ityado yanadikam nas prasanam. Dadhi plus sashtam. In this place, there is no possibility of yanadi. Dadhi, e plus sha. There is no possibility of yanadi karyam. Ach paratkatva abhava, because there is no ach. There is no ach. Sha is not ach, it is vowel. It is consonant. If you say anyatha ityadina, anyatha means desha savarnya abhyagame. If you accept the savarnya for the others, then dirghadinam iva hakaradinam api achtam syaditi anvaya. If you accept ach, them to be ach, like a or a, they are savarna. Similarly, a and ha or any other consonant, a vowel and a consonant will become savarna. Therefore, it will be chaos. There will be no rule possible. Because when you want to do ach sandhi, a conjunction of two vowels, you will also bring in the conjunction of a consonant. Because there is no rule here. So, ach, when I say, it is a vowel plus consonant, vowel plus vowel, vowel plus consonant, consonant plus vowel, and consonant plus consonant. Everything will become ach. There will be no hal sandhi, etc. So, he says, no. Sorry, okay, fine. Varna samamnaye, hakaradinam, akaradinam, akara chakara madhyatva abhavad katham achtum. But how do you say this is ach? I don't still understand. In the Samamnaya, in the Sutra, Maheshwara Sutra, a, I, un, ril, rik, a, ong, I, ouch, between a and ch, chakara, there is no ha, etc. Then how can you say that is ach? Only if the character comes into it, you can say, call it ach. It does not exist in between ach. Therefore, how can it be ach if you say grahanaka shastra bala, because of the strength, because of the power of the shastra, the sutra, which makes you to accept it as ach. Which is the sutra? What is the rule? He says, what is grahanaka? He says, grushyati akaradaya swasavarnan yena tad grahanakam. That which makes you accept etc. to be its homogeneous, its savarna, that is grahanaka. Grahana plus lutu plus swarthe kaha. Grahana plus lutu grahana plus ka grahanaka subutpatti grahanakam. So okay, so grahanakam, that is why he says karane lutu. In the sense of karana instrument, lute is used, and swarthe kaha in the personal meaning ka is used. Okay. Anudit sutra ityartha. What is the sutra? What is the grahanaka sutra? Anudit savarnasya cha pratyaya. What is avarna anudit savarnasya? This is this next sutra which we are going to see. That is the grahanaka sutra. Okay. So yadyapi यद्यपि अच्छब्दवाच्यत्वं वर्णसमाम्नायकानाम् एव वर्णानां तथापि इकोनचि इत्यादौ अच्छब्देन अकारादिषु उपस्थितेषु तैः अणुवित्सूत्रबलेन स्वस्व सवर्णानाम् आकारादीनाम् उपस्थितिः अस्ति. Okay. Though the consonants don't come between the vowel pratyahara ach. No consonant comes between the ach pratyahara. That is true. But when we are going to apply iko enachi or akasavarne dirgha, the homogeneity, when I say achi, iko yana achi, achi pare means, what does that mean? When followed by ach means it is not just it also includes etc. How? Because Anudit Savarna Sutra declares they are all homogeneous, they are all savarna. So based on that, Anudit Savarna Sutra, the hakara also will become savarna. So when I say iko enachi, I mean ik when followed by al, meaning vowel or consonant does not matter, you should bring in yan. There is a problem there. So iti, therefore because of that you are giving this exemption. Okay. Tatascha. Therefore what happens? Atra ach pada vachya akaradi vachyatvad akaradinam iva akaradinam api lakshanaya ach shabdena grahanam syaditya. See, when I say ach, includes the includes because that's the direct meaning. Okay. When I am going to inquire into the word meaning of that, direct meaning, the word meaning means when I inquire into the word meaning of word meaning of then the second word meaning will become implied meaning. You understand? When I say pot means this object, when I say pen means this. When I am going to gain the implied meaning of this word meaning, word meaning of this word meaning, then it becomes implied meaning naturally. So he says, then it also will mean hal, etc. Grahaka achabdena grahakam lakshanaya through the implied meaning. Do you understand? The word meaning will always be implied meaning. Nacha iko nachi ityado शक्यार्थम आदाय एव उपपत्तेः न लक्षणा संभवः. अणुवित् सूत्रं तु अस्य च्वौ इत्यादौ सावकाशम् इति वाच्यम्. Don't say this. न च वाच्यम्. Don't say this. Why? Yanach iko enachi ityadau, in the iko enachi etc. Shakyartham adaya, the word meaning you accept. Ik, yach, ach, yan. Direct meanings. Whatever is specified, only that meaning. Based on that, uvaktehe, when there is a possibility of applying the sutra, na lakshana sambhava. Why do you want to resort to the implied meaning? When the word meaning, direct meaning itself is impossible to solve the sutra, it's a formula. So why do you want to resort to the implied meaning? Then there will be no possibility of applying this rule anywhere. No. I'll give you an exemption where you can apply this rule. Savarna Sutra. So he says, Anudit Sutram tu Asya Cho. Anudit Savarnasya Cha Pratyaya. This Sutra, Grahanaka Sutra, Asya Cho. There is a Sutra, Asya Cho. There it can be applied. There is no issue. Here, in this place, Ikoanichi, it can be the direct meaning, no implied meaning necessary. In Asya Chau, you can bring in the Anudit Savarna Sutra. Iti Nachavacham, don't say this. Why? Swadibhya, it is Swadibhya. I read it wrong in Tamil. Lwadibhya, it looks like Lwadibhya. Swadibhya iti ityadi nirdesha valena Swadibhya su adibhya Swadibhya. So, because of specifying the su adibhya Swadibhya valena प्रत्याहाराणां स्ववाच्यवाच्येषु लक्षणा अवश्यं भवात्. In the pratyaharas, when you are going to understand the word meaning of the word meaning, then you have to resort to the implied meaning. What does he say? Pratyaharanam, for the pratyaharas, swavacyavacyeshu. Swavachya is a word meaning. Vachyeshu, word meaning. Swavachya, word meaning. Swavacyavachya, word meaning. Once word meaning. There, lakshana avashyam bhavat. You have to definitely resort to the implied meaning. Tathacha. Therefore, achtvam syad ityasya ach pada bodhyatvam syad ityat. Therefore, when I say achtum syat means the hull also will be understood as ach because of this rule. Therefore, because Anudit Savarnasya Sutra, therefore, tathahi, how do you understand that? He is going to explain it in the next sutra. We'll see this. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.